Well, we're on a kind of massive year-long tour, so really making up for lost time with the COVID years, So we're fulfilling a lot of dates that we couldn't make during that period. But specifically on this tour, we're promoting. Everything's built around 50 years now for the band, so we've been together for 50 years. So we had two really big albums in the 70s, which was Argus and Live Dates. We promoted the Argus album on various tours. We're now promoting Live Dates, which essentially was one of the key live rock albums of the 70s. So we're playing that entire album, on stage as part of the set. So, really the year's based around promoting that. There's actually been a re-recording of the album that we did just for fun at Daryl's House Club in Pauling, New York. That's Daryl Hall fame. And we'd like to hang our hat on some kind of theme at the moment because, like I say, 50 years kind of special for a rock band, and it helps with promotion. Obviously, we're a twin lead guitar band, and I would imagine if we had formed this band today, we might be considered almost a jam band. So we do. With several sort of strings to our bow, we're a dueling guitar band, so we like to jam out. So we like songs that can give the instrumentalists a chance to shine. That's one thing. And we also realise that with our crowd, they're gonna want to hit the songs that we're known for, or a selection of them at least. So those will always form the core of a set. And then we're also looking to promote and introduce people into what we're into right now. So current studio album, still fairly current, is an album called Coat of Arms, and so we typically play a couple of songs from the new album just to give people the idea that we are a work in progress. We're still evolving, and we're totally not a tribute to the past, although we obviously have such a huge past. We do have to pay respect to it, But so I think that we're players, so we just love to stretch that musician muscle, if you want to say that. Just get some chops in, as well as give a show. That's another factor. A lot of musicians actually forget you're putting on a show, And we don't want to be too self-indulgent. So it's just striking the right balance. A good live set has a beginning, a middle, and an end. That's what I always say. So we're trying to bear that in mind when we're constructing a show. These terms like classic rock and prog, they became terms after the event. So, looking back, everything really is a product of a certain moment in time. So if you think about, this band was formed in 1969. The 60s was just an incredibly creative period where everything grew, You had the baby boomer generation that was just a huge generation, and seemed like every year or 2 years, musical styles and tastes were flowing through the gamut from, say, soul, blues, folk. It ended up in the late 60s, psychedelia. As the generation grew, so the music grew with it. And also, rock in general, as we now call it, was the prevalent music of the time. Sure, you had disco, you had R&B. It took a lot of the British guitar players to almost re-educate the American audiences to the great blues guitarists that were here all the time. And so that movement went through. And then by the time our band formed, late 60s, we were essentially free to do whatever we wanted. So the FM radio was great. They were playing deep cuts by everybody. You could it was a fantastic circuit where music was given an airing. Any ideas that you had were... the record labels were very powerful. They would actually develop artists. So I think that gave rise to what we now call prog, because, usually a band would take to its third album to really flower, but the labels were putting money into the bands and giving them time in a recording studio to experiment. And a lot of the bands, especially the British bands, were very intent on creating their own very intrinsic, unique sound because, the competition was so fierce to get on the radio. So we were no different. We wanted to produce our own unique sound. In our case, it was twin lead guitars, and this freedom to experiment with jazz and folk and blues and just mishmash it all together and produce what is our own now kind of eclectic sound. Like I said earlier, we'd almost be like a jam band today, I think, because the great one of the reasons that we have this longevity in the band is because there were no limits, no boundaries. So, we've gone from classic rock to hard rock. We get quite bluesy at times. And then, we get progressive. We go into wacky time signatures and things that perhaps a metal band wouldn't do, or a classic rock band. But we're free to do it, and we bring our audience along with it for the ride. Well, as I said, we'll be featuring the Live Dates album again in its entirety, plus a selection of material from the most recent album, Coat of Arms. And ultimately, there'll be a few rockers thrown in there, and there'll be some serious guitar playing. And we hope to give you a really good show and a great sound in the room. And I mean, it's a nice theatre, so it should be all of the above should be possible.